Title: Karma for a cheating wife who left her family behind. Her ex-husband toils away for 60 hours each week to support his family, while my relative is off enjoying herself with her lover. Hello friends. We're back with another email story from one of our subscribers today. Due to recent storms, Texas lawyers couldn't send us a story today, but that's okay. If you haven't checked out their playlist yet, you can find it above. They'll be back next week with another tale. I hope everyone is safe out there, so let's dive into the story. You've read the title, so let's get started. The FBI was on the hunt for her, plus karma. Hey, lessons from life, I just discovered your channel a few days ago and really enjoy the content. This isn't my personal story of infidelity, rather, it's about my relative and highlights how cheating affects an entire family, including the extended family. For privacy reasons, I'll refer to her as my relative. Flashback to 2009, my relative hails from a very devout family. Her father serves as the local pastor, and her mother is revered in the community like Mother Teresa. They attended church every Sunday. She met her husband while in Catholic school, and they had been together for over a decade. My relative and her husband had a lovely baby girl we'll call Lexi. As a stay-at-home mom, she took care of their daughter while her husband worked hard to support the family. One day while grocery shopping, she decided to stop by a gas station for coffee. There, she encountered another man, and they shared an immediate, magical connection. He got her number after spending just 5 minutes chatting while purchasing a $2 coffee. This man was 10 years older and married, with his wife being the primary breadwinner in their household. At the age of 30, my relative embarked on an affair. Initially, it started with innocent texts, quickly evolving into an emotional affair, then sexting, and eventually a physical relationship. While her ex-husband was putting in 60-hour work weeks to care for the family, my relative was living it up with her lover. For months into the affair, she found herself pregnant by the other man. They both expressed discontent with their marriages and started plotting their escape to live happily ever after, abandoning their past lives. My relative even considered taking her 1-year-old daughter, but her lover feared the repercussions of a child abduction alert. So, they devised a scheme to make it appear as if my relative had been kidnapped by him. Fast forward 4 months, it's now 8 months into the affair. On April 17, 2010, my relative informs her husband that she'll be shopping for baby clothes at a local flea market. Meanwhile, her lover trades in his car for a new model and heads to pick her up. After her shopping trip, she drives to a nearby park to wait for her Prince Charming to whisk her away to Florida, leaving behind her daughter, husband, family, and friends. Upon his arrival, they vandalized her SUV, slashed the tires, and left the keys in the ignition with the window cracked open. Are you kidding me? Her ex-husband was home caring for their daughter while she was off chasing her fantasy. As night fell, he started calling her, only to find that her phone was disconnected. Panic set in, and like any rational person, he reported her missing to the police. They soon discovered the scene of the crime, and the family was thrown into a full-blown crisis. Her ex-husband and father appeared on national news, pleading for help to find her, dubbing her Ohio's missing mom. While my relative frolicked in the sunshine, the nation began searching for her. The next day, authorities uncovered video footage of her and her lover, appearing joyful while grabbing coffee at a gas station en route to Florida. She certainly didn't look like a victim and seemed to be enjoying every moment. While everyone at home panicked, we discovered that much of her family was with her father and ex-husband when that footage was aired. For about 5 minutes, the room was dead silent. I can only speak for myself and my immediate family when I say we felt immense embarrassment and shame. The grandparents shouted, and my relative's mother was in tears, leading to chaos. Her ex-husband was left in shock, and her father nearly fainted from disbelief. This revelation transformed her from Ohio's missing mom to Ohio's runaway mom. During our search, we learned that while we were frantically looking for her, her lover was keeping an eye on the news, fully aware that the nation was searching for them while they lounged on the beach and spent romantic nights in budget motels. 5 days after the missing report was filed, the police and FBI located them at a low-cost motel. Her ex-husband and father managed to maintain composure for the cameras and expressed relief that she was safe, asking her to return home. Initially, her ex-husband wanted to reconcile, but upon her return, she was deeply entrenched in her affair and displayed no remorse for her actions. She went on ABC News, The Insider, and even Dr. Phil to present her side of the story, which can only be described as selfish. She blamed her family for not being able to divorce her husband and justified her runaway plan. As a religious family, we disapproved of her behavior, which was incredibly wrong and put the entire family in a deeply embarrassing situation. Eventually, her ex-husband realized reconciliation was impossible and filed for divorce. To make matters worse, she had the audacity to fight for full custody and child support after abandoning her daughter for the affair. A few months later, she gave birth to her lover's son, and her ex-husband had to fight to remove his name from the birth certificate, as he was automatically listed as the father due to their marriage. The aftermath for my relative's family was devastating. Her father was pressured to step down from his position as pastor because who would want a pastor whose daughter engaged in such scandalous behavior? Her mother, once admired in the community, faced shame and ostracism. Her brother and other relatives had to endure whispers and snickers behind their backs for years. Many chose to relocate to escape the fallout from my relative's disastrous choices. Meanwhile, my relative and her lover struggled to make ends meet. She remained a stay-at-home mom while he bounced from job to job, delivering pizzas and working at fast food restaurants. Now 40, he constantly changes jobs to evade the embarrassment of being recognized in public. My relative was too ashamed to venture out, hiding away in her home to avoid the gossip. It's now 2021, and karma has caught up with my relative. Her lover, whom she believed would bring her happiness, has been unfaithful to her for years, continuing his pattern of hopping between jobs whenever he gets caught in an affair. Meanwhile, my relative shows signs of PTSD stemming from her lover's escapades, realizing that the grass wasn't greener on the other side. So what was her new title? Let me check it out, Ohio Runaway Mom. Wow, it appears her story made headlines worldwide as the woman who abandoned her family for a secret lover. She and her partner crafted an elaborate scheme to escape and start anew, only for it to backfire spectacularly and publicly. As I skim through articles about her case, I see that the divorce and custody proceedings have stalled in court for months due to her pregnancy. It's all quite a mess. In closing, I have some advice to offer. First, for those in the church, read the Bible and focus on the section regarding adultery. Divorce is permissible after infidelity. It surprises me how many church members think they can't divorce a cheating spouse, though I'm not particularly religious myself. Second, remember that fantasies are just that, fantasies. Real life can be very different, and my relative learned that lesson the hard way. Lastly, don't rely on faith to prevent infidelity. I attended a Catholic university, and some of the most devout people were among the biggest cheaters I've ever known. Wow, that's quite a story. Reflecting on this, I recall people I grew up with who came from strict religious backgrounds. They often rebelled against those confines, feeling trapped by their upbringing. For instance, I remember a friend whose father was extremely strict. While we would head to the mall to buy video games and hang out, he was not allowed to join us. Later, I learned that he ended up in prison for attempting to rob a bank, something no one would have expected. It's fascinating how life plays out. Sometimes, those who seem the least likely to go astray end up making shocking choices. As for my relative, she thought life would be better with her lover, but it turns out she was mistaken. Perhaps, in some way, she relishes the attention that comes from her notoriety, appearing on shows like Dr. Phil and making headlines. But the reality remains that she abandoned her daughter for a man who is nothing but a lowlife, jumping from job to job and staying in cheap motels. It's a sad, crazy tale. Thanks for sharing it. It's certainly an eye-opener. I'm curious to hear what you all think in the comments. If you'd like to share your own story, feel free to send it to Lessons from Life, and I'll catch you in the next one.